All right, let's get started here. Let's get started here. Yo, Trick Shot, what's going on? Literally, that was so quick. I just started stream. Holy crap. Holy crap. That was very quick. Oh crap, 1 second. 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Everything tastes better out of glass. All right. Here we go. We got a lot to talk about. A lot of fun stuff to talk about. Woo. Okay. We got 3 inches just north of DC. Nice. That is definitely an overperformance. Nice. Eric's. Let it snow. Let it snow in Georgia. Talk about Minnesota getting snow. We can go look at what your projections are looking like. But yeah, we can go take a look at that. The trough kind of disappeared on models? No, it didn't. Trick, what are we talking about? Here's our latest euro. Here's our latest euro. 12Z. There it is. There it is. Look at that. Look at that thing. Look at that. Right here. Secondary trough above it. We'll have to see how this works out. I think this is a good look, though. I think this is a good look. You don't think so? It's unorganized for sure, but it's consistently showing this type of look on all models. That gets pretty far south. This is almost maybe like a polar jet sub. No, it's not a subtropical jet look. Yeah, it's still there. Our latest GFS is loading, but this is on our last run of the GFS. Still there. Sloppy on the GFS, but when it comes to cold air troughing, we like the Euro anyways. All right, guys, we're going to talk about this stuff. Let's go up to Minnesota real quick. Someone asked about that. And we look like we're going to get another big snowstorm out east. Who knows if it's going to be the south or not. The Euro thinks it's going to be in the south again next week, but we'll talk about that. Really quickly, let's go up in here to Minnesota. We've got kind of a snowstorm moving through right now as we speak. Let's go HRRR 20Z. Here we go. Heavier snow beginning moving in 3 hours. A lot of that snow looks to remain to the north. It's funny seeing some of the totals they're expecting from this snowstorm. It's because it's so cold up here. This is a good 10 to 1 or more ratio. But based on our latest HRRR, how much could we see? We'll go. Well, we don't even need to go to Kuchera. We could go to a 10 to 1 ratio. Not looking crazy for anyone. Let's see what our 18Z said. Very little. Nothing crazy. Northern Plains, out west, your snow action looks to increase late January into early February. We'll see if that outlook holds. Yeah, possible winter storm in Illinois. It's possible. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in a second. Yeah. Well, yeah, Ryan. I mean, Ryan, you have to remember we're not even in the middle of winter yet. Actual middle of winter is, yeah, I mean, coldest day of the winter is January 20th. A lot of these places get a ton of snow, especially up in Wisconsin, February, March, sometimes even April. So I wouldn't worry. It happens. Your pattern's going to look more favorable moving forward. So, okay, guys, I want to show everyone what's going on. How many people do we got in here? 600. Let's talk about who I think has the best chance. I don't even want to give a best chance of seeing the snow next week. There's a very good setup for more snow across the plains out east and potentially in the southeast. It's too far out to know who's going to get it how much. But what we can look at, these models are good with big ridging troughing events, cold air, warm air. We're not going to know down to a local level who's going to see a snowstorm, but we can look at what we got. Let's dig into some maps. Let me take a sip of this first because this is going to be a lot. Yes. Pam, check out Mooresville, North Carolina. It says we get snow next Monday. Yeah. Yes. Pam, it's possible, but it's not. Yeah, I'll show you what's going on here, guys. New GFS run weather bell. Let's take a look. Well, I mean, I want to wait for this to load. Okay. Here's what's going on really quickly. There's a lot of model consensus. First of all, let's start with just the simple. Why do we think there's going to be still an active winter pattern over the next 2 weeks? Active might be an understatement, but we'll see. Climate Prediction Center. The whole country's average to above average. Or sorry, average to below average temperatures moving forward. Even you people out here who are average temperatures over the next, 5 days, a week. This is average temperatures in January are cold. Good thing is no one in the country is above average. Here's what happens as we push into the 19th to the 25th time frame. This is the same exact time frame. This is when we're expecting this mega trough. The Climate Prediction Center expects it to. Now, what we would want to see with this type of pattern, this very cold air here, in the coldest week of the year, historically on average in the Northern Hemisphere, is we would want to see, does the Climate Prediction Center think we're going to have above average rainfall in this area during that time? Because if so, that's probably not going to be all rainfall. That's going to be snow. And would you look at it? Would you look at that? Climate Prediction Center thinks we're going to have below average temperatures down here with above average precipitation chances. And I think they're right. And we're going to get into why. Now, this doesn't mean that you guys couldn't get snow through here. Could be a big mid-Atlantic nor'easter snowstorm. I'm very convinced, not 100% though. Nothing's 100% in weather, guys. Someone out here is going to get a big snow again, big winter storm again before the end of January. There may be two. But well, I'm not going to go that crazy. Let's talk about who's most likely to get it. We'll start off. We'll get into La La Land with the Euro. I don't like looking at the future radar this far out. And I'm going to start answering comments in a second, guys. I want to just get through this first. Yes, Nurse said, remember we were talking about an outlook and not a forecast. Exactly. Now, the outlook, the cold air, there's confidence in the cold air next week, which is one part of the equation. There's never confidence in where the moisture is going to be over 4 to 5 days out. It's so hard. There's so much that goes into these models and the algorithms trying to figure that out. So we're pretty confident we're going to have at least one of those pieces of the equation. And the cold air sticks around for a period of time where there's a pretty wide range where we could have a low pressure or some sort of moisture moving out of the Gulf. So it's a promising outlook, but an outlook is called an outlook and not a forecast because the chances of it happening are less than the forecast. Okay. Here's our Euro. Take this. Find a huge piece of salt in your house and put it in your mouth. Large grain of salt. Moving forward, the Euro likes snow, another snowstorm, almost like the one we just saw. Could be farther south, could be farther north. This moisture pocket right here could move out ahead of this cold air and we could see nothing. It could lag behind and we could see nothing. Right now, the GFS, Euro, and Canadian all like the timing of this, of moisture, cold air happening. So that's good. It's an outlook. There's time for that to change. The Euro wants not just one, but 2 shots. This would be some snow up through you would see the second one would potentially be a little bit of snow up through Kansas, up towards Illinois, over to Indiana. We'll see how that works. But and then you can see the Euro wants like a nor'easter style event. Is this going to happen? Who knows? The atmospheric setup looks good right now for active winter pattern moving into next week again. And we said this about this southern storm we just had. We were looking at it 7 to 10 days out, and we said, we can't guarantee it, but the atmospheric conditions look really good. I posted a video on TikTok today because I said December 27th that the second week of January looked really good for southern snowstorm, and I said I can't promise it, but there's a really good atmospheric setup, and it happened. Now, I'm not some sort of prophet. I just understand how to read teleconnections and models. So, of course, I had to go on TikTok and roast everyone in my comment section who called me an idiot for saying that December 27th. But again, the atmospheric setup for this looks good. If I had to bet the over-under for another big eastern winter storm, I would bet the over. And I look at these models every day of my life, and I've been studying weather my whole life. But there's been plenty of times where I've lost these bets. There's times, and it has to do with timing. Usually the moisture or the cold air comes through, but it's all about, do you have the events happening at the same exact time? And that's tough. Also, if your troughing doesn't enter, this region and it enters farther out east, then this cold air is going to move in out here, and it's going to link up with that moisture off the coast, and it's going to be a dry event through the east. What we really want is we want this troughing event to continue to show that it's going to push in through here and dig and pull that Gulf moisture off, dragging maybe some Pacific moisture, dragging some Atlantic moisture. Okay, that's how you get like a 93 snowstorm. I'm not promising a 93 snowstorm. Not going to happen. I could almost say with 100% certainty it's not going to happen. But this setup is similar to what we saw with this last southern snowstorm. So, I wouldn't. No one down in the south should think they're getting snow next week. You should just understand that your chances are higher than they would normally be, just like they were with this one when we were looking a week out. We were saying your chances are a little bit higher than they normally be. It's a good setup. Obviously, the GFS wants to do wacky stuff. I'll show you just for fun. I'm going to get to questions in a second. The GFS wants to do wacky stuff like dumping a foot of snow along the coastal east, along coastal Georgia, all the way up through coastal North Carolina. Is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. I think that's a little bit out there. I wouldn't trust it too much. Any of you who see snow in your forecast in the Carolinas and in the South on your weather app on Monday, I would be very careful because the chances of that changing, whether it be for more or less, are very likely. It's not going to stay the same. But this is a good outlook. This is a good outlook for you guys. I'm gonna start taking questions here. Our latest GFS is loading. I just want to see if we have any sort of look here, what it's thinking moving forwards. All right, let's go to our 12Z Euro. Last thing. Sorry guys, I know I tricked you there. Our Euro ensemble, because everyone's gonna ask me, what are the odds that we get snow? This is gonna give you a good understanding of what the odds are. So here's our latest probability of getting an inch or more of accumulation of snow, and it could be way more than an inch, but the probability of getting an inch or more of accumulating snow through the time frame where we think those other winter storms could happen. And the Euro ensembles, which are safe models, already are targeting the south again. So, but again, look at this is only a 10 to a 30% chance on the Euro ensemble outlook. So it's low. As we get closer, those percentages will probably go up if we continue to see this pattern, which I think we will, but we'll have to see. But again, they're pushing these probabilities to the south again. It's a good setup. Okay, I'm done. Let me switch this back so I can read my chat. God, I feel like I'm living in Groundhog's Day. This is exactly what we went over before we just had this winter storm, like a week before it. Let's go. It's Panda said, yep. What's the difference between 10-to-1 ratio and Kuchera? The Kuchera ratio tries its best to take into account the temperatures in the layers of the atmosphere and at the surface, so it can really give you a good reading on how dense that snow is going to fall. Less dense snow piles up more dense snow is going to accumulate less. If the air is warmer, it's not going to be the snow is not going to accumulate as high. If it's below freezing temperatures from the surface all the way up to the top of the troposphere, 1 inch of precipitable water can be 10 inches of snow. It can pile up really quickly without as much precipitation needing to fall. Is Dallas going to get more snow? I can't tell you that. I can't tell you if it's going to. I can tell you the outlook. It does look good again for Texas. So, it's a possibility. So it's too far out to know for sure. The atmospheric setup is good for Texas again next week. There's time for things to change. Why is Northern New Jersey missing everything? Listen, that's just how it happens sometimes. Northern Georgia hadn't seen snowfall in 8 years, and there's parts of Northern Georgia, I think they average 2 to 4 inches of snow a year. They hadn't seen a trace of snow in like 8 years. But now they got it again. The climate corrects itself. It's not going to be no one's ever going to be in a drought. And Northern Georgia could get snow again. They could get snow back-to-back weeks after not seeing any snow for 8 years. The climate acts weird sometimes. Kimber, what's going on? Cray. Cray, Kimber. I appreciate you guys. Mrs. Maury. Well, that's what we'll say. Lane, I appreciate you. Lake, if you're still in here. Lake lady, you're awesome. Tennessee, again, you guys are in a favorable area. Let me see if I can give you a good weather belt map just to kind of represent this. We can... Sometimes I don't like showing this map because people think that everyone in the map suddenly should expect snow, and I don't like you to think that. This is out through... One second. Let me adjust this. One second, guys. And we'll stand here. I don't want to get everyone too excited by showing you Euro possibilities. It's funny the Euro is actually being more aggressive than the GFS this year. Will New York City get hit next week? It's a possibility. Again, that's in an area where your chances are up. You got really close to getting a big snow. All of us in the Mid-Atlantic got really close to getting a big snowstorm with this. A lot of you guys don't even realize that. We have a 974. You can see it right here. Well, I think right now we have a 982 storm right off the coast, guys. If this was literally right here, this would be heavy snow. This would be a huge nor'easter. It was close. It was close, but that's what happens sometimes. The GFS really thought it would tuck closer. The Euro thought this storm would never even get up here in tilt, thought it would go right off the coast. We got something that happened in between, which is actually what I said was most likely to happen. Don't want a big snowstorm for Inauguration Day. Oh, yeah, I forgot. The 20th is right in that time. I forgot. That could be messy Inauguration Day. We'll have to see. Asheville, North Carolina. Yep, out east. Different models want to do different things. Someone's gonna get snow again. Who hasn't seen it in a while. Lane, I appreciate you. Thank you, Lane. Thank you, guys. Thank you to anyone who's followed or subbed. By the way, and I still get nervous about talking about this on TikTok because I don't want them to get mad at me or my account. If anything happens to TikTok, I have to say this quickly so the algorithm doesn't hear me. Okay, I'm going full time to YouTube. So if you want to sub to me over there, and I'm not saying this because I want more subs of it. I literally I'm a creator on TikTok and I'm about to lose everything. So I have 90,000 followers on here. I have 500 on YouTube because I'm just crap. I need to get over there. I'm streaming on YouTube right now. I got a setup so that I can multi-stream on the TikTok and YouTube at the same time. So, and I upload all my videos on YouTube now. So we'll see what happens. I hope TikTok is okay. I hope it's okay, but we'll see. Could Houston possibly get snow this time? Yeah. It's still tougher. I mean, we'll see. I want to see how this new GFS, what it does, if it still digs the trough as deep as we've been seeing it. I think it will, but it's loading right now, and we'll be able to see that in a little bit together on stream. That's going to be a big hint. Grand Rapids, Michigan. What's happening up there? Let's move forward a little bit. Not much snow expected over the next 5 days. 2 to 4 is what the Euro expects. It's not none. You guys, you see what the Euro wants to do down south? I would love that for you guys. I would love this for the Carolinas as well because they really got snubbed on this last storm. And I got everyone excited. We were overperforming everywhere. And then Carolinas got really missed out. Asheville, I pray it doesn't get it. Yeah. Yeah, I lived in North Carolina for a long time. I've been to Asheville a lot. I love Asheville. I don't... Yeah, I do wonder how bad... Because I know there's still a lot of people without homes there. or you know, who are just kind of. I feel like by now a lot of people have somewhere to stay, but yeah, it's still a bad situation there. We'd love to put a force field over Asheville for a little while longer. It's still, I mean, that recovery is going to be going on for a long time. Pittsburgh, yeah, guys. I mean, I could answer. I can't tell you who's going to see snow next week with this, you know, big potential winter storm. There's a really good setup for an eastern winter storm, and there's a possibility again of it digging through the south. The cold air probability looks high, the cold air being in place for another southern storm, but you need moisture in the right spot at the right time. The GFS is really bullish. It's continuing to believe we're going to have a lot of moisture down there, and the GFS does really good at detecting subtropical lows, subtropical moistures. That's why we use it for hurricane season. So putting my brain together and understanding the Euro is very good with cold air troughing in the winter, especially within 7 to 10 days. And the GFS is very good at 7 to 10 days, better than it should be with detecting subtropical lows. It's, it's an exciting thing to look at, but it's still just an outlook. Still just an outlook, so we have to be careful. But this is kind of the outlook we had before this first winter storm. Why are you looking at a surface analysis chart? You know what? What do you mean? Why am I looking at a surface analysis chart? We look at a lot of charts in this stream. We look at a lot of charts in this stream. Right now I'm reading chat. So, I don't have a bot that changes charts for me as I talk. Massachusetts. Yeah, you guys got a little more snow than expected. These charts give you so much information before I plan my flights. I don't get it. Will Mississippi see any snow on the 20th? I cannot tell you. I can tell you that there is there's a potential for snow in the south again around that time frame, but there's plenty of time for this outlook to adjust. Again, I'd bet the over. We're gonna get some snow, a little bit more southerly. How intense? Who goes over? We have to wait. Let's wait a few days, a few days, and then we'll probably know the region we're expecting it to start in. Yeah, you're live. Hi from Dallas. Hoping for another ice storm. Wait, before the end of January. Odds? You mean snowstorm? I hope you're not hoping for another ice storm. Yeah. Again, we're at about 180 hours out on the Euro for snow back into Texas. I'd like that. If we still see that signal closer to 120 to 100 hours, we'll start taking it very seriously. And this is an outlook range right here. So, that's what we're looking at. Again, I do like the info from the Climate Prediction Center. These are the best meteorologists in the world. And this is our 19th to our 25th time frame. They do this. I mean, this is a lot of cold air. This is going to be a very wide amplified trough. Likely, there's a lot of model consensus about it. I don't think how much cold air is moving into the states is going to change. I think how far south that cold air could change. Could come less far south. Could actually come more far south. So that's what we're watching. But the Climate Prediction Center does pretty good with this stuff. Let me see where our GFS is at, guys. Let's see where our GFS is at. All right, starting to get a little bit farther. You can see the beginning of the trough, right? This is your big daddy trough right here. That's starting to push in on the new run of the GFS. So we still have it. We'll still have it here. We'll see if it pulls back or not. Live already, Dawson. I usually go live every night, 2-3 hours. But I was like, you know what? I want to maybe have a fun weekend night. So I'm like, I'll stream during the day. I just want to chill, watch some football tonight and stuff like that. So I decided to get on earlier. Well, Ennis actually gets snow next week. I can't tell you that. You are in an area that has the potential for it next week. I can tell you that. I mean, it's crazy that this storm looks identical to the one we just had. It's not going to be identical to the one we just had. It might even be farther north. But there are a lot of similarities. This trough looks a lot stronger, I'd tell you that. The way high and low pressures work help you plan for the fastest route. You want a tailwind to go the fastest. Well, yes. I mean, typically you're always going to fly faster. Listen, I'm not a pilot, but just understanding weather. Typically you're always going to fly faster when you're flying from west to east because you have tailwinds from the jet stream, right? Typically, if you're flying east to west, if on a long flight, you're flying into your prevailing winds or into the jet stream, and it's going to be a longer flight. So, yeah, and you can see where ridging and troughing happens and understand that winds are moving like this. So this would not be a bad flight right there. This would probably be a quicker than normal flight on that route because that's how the winds are moving there. Over here, this would be a good flight right across, right from west to east because you have tailwinds right there. But that's tailwind. The winds are always coming from that direction. Yeah. How is DC looking for the 20th? Interesting. Listen, we don't know what the weather conditions are going to be on the 20th exactly. We know that there's a very active weather pattern setting up between the 18th and probably through like the 24th of January. A lot of model consensus about a very, very large trough pushing down into the central U.S. and out east. And the Climate Prediction Center agrees that when there's a ton of global consensus about 7 to 10 days out in troughing, the Climate Prediction Center will take it seriously because it's a macro event. It's not a minor local event that's much harder to predict. These events are much easier to predict. So the atmospheric setup is going to be active. It's who's it going to be active for? It's going to be active out east. Where out east is the big question we have right now that we're trying to answer, that we'll get closer to answering with each model run. And as we continue to look at our teleconnections. James, Zach, D Real, I appreciate you guys. Yeah, you guys are gonna listen. I've been telling you guys all over and over again up there in the northern plains, and out west, southwest, you're gonna remain dry for a little bit, drier than normal. Late February into January, it looks like we may have a pattern shift. You guys have just been so cold for so long, it's tough to get a lot of storms pushing through that region. You see where these big snowstorms are happening down here. A lot of warm air. You can see those red isobar lines and a lot of cold air. You're really stuck in a very, very cold pattern. You need a little bit of instability up there in the northern plains to put some heavy snow down. D-Real, I appreciate you. Do you feel like northeast Louisiana could get snow? Not impossible with this setup, but again, it's too early to tell. Not impossible. I mean, like the Euro, which is a good snow model, puts snow through northern Louisiana, but it's at 180, 90 hours out. So you can't really take that too seriously. I do think the cold air might be in place, though. That's something I'd take more seriously. Yeah, no, the winds and a low pressure move clockwise. Yes, the winds and a low pressure move clockwise in the northern hemisphere, and the winds and a high pressure move, winds and a low pressure move counterclockwise, and the winds and a high pressure move clockwise. Listen, if I didn't know that, I would not be qualified to talk to anyone. Yeah, yes, high pressure. You have a high pressure because of diverging winds, and you have a low pressure because of converging winds. Or sorry, you have a high pressure because of converging winds, and you have a low pressure because of diverging winds. So you have diverging winds up near the tropopause that allows for your air particles to move up and pull moisture up into the atmosphere and allow it to cool and condense. You have a high pressure because you have converging winds up there pushing these air particles down on the surface, not allowing for any lift. Yep. Pilots, it's really cool. Pilots actually need to know a lot about weather and meteorology. It's really cool, actually. I want to be a pilot. Next week, temps. You guys want to see it? What some of these temps are looking like? Because here, I'll show you this. Where snow's going to fall past 4 or 5 days is almost impossible to tell. Look at the temperatures right now around the country with it. I mean, this is wind chills, but I'll show you wind chills first because this is what it's going to feel like. Knowing where snow is going to fall past even 3 days out sometimes, but 4 days out, very hard. Knowing what type of cold air is going to move in, not the exact temperature, but is it going to be much below or much above average is a lot easier. You can see moving forward here. I mean, oh my gosh, up through the northern plains, down through the Midwest, we're going to have some negative below zero wind chills for quite a while there. You're going to warm up in Texas for a little bit. Look at this big warm up we're going to have down there as we push into, next weekend, beginning of next weekend. A little bit of a warm up. Everyone else stays pretty cool. And then here's the trough that we're all talking about. Look at this, guys. This is the Big Daddy trough. I mean, can you imagine? This this isn't going to happen. Okay. I'm going to tell you that right now. It's not going to be negative 13 degrees in New York City. Not that it's impossible, but, This here's your actual temperatures, of what some of these models want to see. This is the Euro. I mean, this would bring in actual negative temperatures into Nashville. This would bring it to -1 degrees in New York City. This would bring temperatures up in the northern plains, wind chill wise, possibly to -50, -60. I mean, this would bring Kansas City down to -25, -30 degree wind chills. Is that exact thing going to happen? No. Do we expect a major trough to move in and maybe give us our coldest temperatures of the entire winter? Yes. How major is the question still? Every model agrees on this event, this big chill down event, pushing the freezing line, which actually this is what we really want to look at. We want to look at our 850 millibar temperature anomaly. These are the temperatures right above our heads. And so you don't just want cold air at the surface. You want cold air just above you as well, so it's not all freezing rain. This would be plenty of cold air right above you guys. So I actually like looking at this right here. The blue is our freezing line. So again, that's our freezing line. That's not just surface cold air temperatures. That's air, that's below freezing temperatures as you move up in the atmosphere, which is what you want to make sure that stuff is falling to snow and it's not melting, refreezing, melting, refreezing. Darcy, appreciate you. Brittany, thank you. Cuban. Thank you, guys. The purple is very cold. Let's just say that. Below 0. Tennessee will be in the 50s on the 18th. No snow for us, correct? On the 8th, yeah. Well, let me tell you what always happens before you get a big cool down. It warms up. Why? Because typically before a big cold front or trough, you have warm air building up ahead of it. Why? Because you have cold air that is pushing into that warm air, and you get that warm air stacking out ahead of it. So it's almost always gets really hot before it gets really cold. Some people were asking me the other day, they were saying, or someone in stream, was it yesterday, was saying, was it earlier today? Time flies when you're having fun. Was saying, my app says it's going to be like 60 or 70 in Georgia next Monday or something like that. And I was like, yeah. And when you see your app refresh for Tuesday, it's probably going to be like 35 Tuesday. When you see it get that hot, especially in winter, that typically means you have a lot of warm air stacking up right in front of what's about to be a bunch of cold air moving in. You can actually see it. I mean, look, it's very easy to see just on a regular map. Watch what happens right ahead of this trough. Ready? You can see it right here. Look at this very warm air that starts to really crank up right here, right in front of it. So you don't really have this. You start to get, these temperature boundaries are what causes some severe weather. It's not this casual, like right now, we don't really have a big trough moving in. You can see there's a casual gradient. It starts getting, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. There's a good gradient. There's no sharp cutoff in warm air. But when you get a big cold front moving in, you start to get a big gradient to the point where you can see right here, it wants to be almost 70 degrees in Jacksonville. And then you drive up a couple hundred miles into Georgia and you're down to like 45 degrees. Or up the coast and you're down to 50 degrees. Very sharp gradients, right? So if it gets really hot, a lot of times it's going to get really cold behind it in the winter. So if any of your apps say it's about to be super hot next Sunday or Monday, it's because the heat's building up ahead of this cold front or ahead of this trough. It's a trough, but the front of it is called a front. Who would have thought? And that's when you get some bad weather. You can get some severe weather even in January. So we could have another here in Texas. Yes, you could. There's a lot of different models that want to do a lot of different things, but what they all want to do is they all want to bring a big cold air trough down here between the 18th and 21st. Most of them between the 18th and 20th. The GFS does really well with detecting or projecting subtropical lows in this time frame, and it does want to put the moisture there as well. So you need 3 things. We'll split it up into a pie for a big snowstorm. Cold air, check. We think that the outlook looks good for that. Rain, we'll say moisture, M. Check. Outlook looks good for that. And then you need timing. I'm going to write it all the way out. Timing. And that's a big question mark. Okay, you need timing. Does this low kind of generating down in the Gulf this moisture generating down in the Gulf want to get up and scoop its way out before we get this cold air pushing in and kind of leave a more dry environment as that cold air moves in and we don't have any moisture to tap in? Or does it cold air want to move in and you see these, you see kind of, and you can get a low, the cold air moving into the warm air can cause its own low, but you can have your own low pressure system kind of floating around in the Gulf, or does it want to lag behind? So the timing is really the question. I'd say we have two of the three things we have pretty decent confidence in. So we'll see about the timing, but that could mean another big southern snowstorm. Who knows? Nor'easter, Midwest, Plains, South Central. It's up in the air. But for snow lovers out east, it's a good outlook. Darcy, I appreciate you. Brittany, did I say? Shout out to Brittany for the sub. Brittany, thank you. Sigrid, I appreciate you. Let's see. That was yesterday. Let's see. Weather's the hardest part. And you have it on lock. Yeah. I actually wanted to be a pilot when I was little. One of the what's funny is what I actually wanted to do when I first got into meteorology is I wanted to fly into hurricanes. Be one of the our weather guys who drop those barometric pressure readers right into the hurricanes that fly into the center of them. I always thought that was really cool. So it was kind of my dream to be a meteorologist and a pilot. Funny enough. Is snow your favorite kind of severe weather? Snow is my favorite kind of precipitation. I love hurricanes. I've been through the eye of Gene, Francis, and Wilma. Actually, the eye of them when I was little. And I thought, I remember walking outside and seeing the destruction and thinking it was so awesome. I know it's not awesome, but I was a little kid. I didn't think it was, I was amazed by it. I still am to this day, how tropical cyclones work. They can be the most destructive thing, on the face of the earth. Especially storm surge wise. I want a huge snowstorm from Middle Tennessee. Hey, it's possible. It's possible with this setup. I'm not going to promise it to you, but it's not out of the question with this kind of outlook that we're forming here over the next week. I would have to say snow's a lot of people's favorite precipitation. Who here is like, I love rain? I guess people out west. People in the desert. Someone was in my sub-only chat, and they're in southwestern Arizona right now, and they were begging for rain. I feel that. We want snow in Louisiana. I know. Terry, it was really close with this last storm. Really close. Needed to shift a little farther south. The Euro wants to put snow in Louisiana again with this. I always shift this north in my brain because the outlooks always push these troughs a little bit too far south in the beginning and then start to adjust back up north as time goes by. Georgia snow again, Dawson, is possible. I can't guarantee it. Your outlook is good again. Just like it was for this last snowstorm, your outlook's good again. But we need a little bit more time. Educators love snow days. I bet that, Court. Yeah. We need snow in Tampa. It's happened before, Ugly. It'll happen again. I don't expect it with this event, but and I can't tell you when. I'm more of a thunderstorm person. I moved away from Minnesota, and the snow followed. That's funny. I do love thunderstorms. I love when it's raining at nighttime. I love listening to thunder and rain at night. How's Kansas City looking this round? I would say, and this is almost the same as last time, our best look right now for snow is going to be through this region. It just because of how our trough looks like it's going to move in. This is going to be a trough that's going to tap into Gulf moisture. So sometimes you get these troughing patterns that move in a little bit farther to the west, and they can tap into some Pacific moisture and some Gulf moisture. But this is really going to be, I think, we're kind of going to have potentially somewhat of a subtropical jet maybe wanting to pull some moisture through here. But it really looks like this is going to be an event out here. We could get the Central Plains involved. Not impossible. There's plenty of time for this to change. So. Yeah, Northern Arkansas. This is an out east thing. Jim Cantori even came to Nashville and got our hopes up, and it was underperforming. Well, didn't you guys get I was looking at snow totals. 4-5 inches. Here's our snow totals. By the way, this is always fun to look at when the storm's over. And you know what's funny? This is just so upsetting. The one area I really wanted it to overperform was the Carolinas. Look at this. Look at all of these dark blues right here. And then look where it underperformed. Right in here through the Carolinas. Oof. Tough. Very tough. People in my comments today were telling me that, because I was saying the NAM was completely wrong. The NAM said there was going to, guys, the NAM said there was going to, and this, guys, this is moving forward. So there was snow, as we know, all through here. Atlanta, Birmingham, we did get snow all through here. Sorry, I got to move over a little bit. The NAM said there was going to be no snow in Mississippi, no snow in Alabama, no snow in Georgia. We got snow all the way down to like Birmingham and Atlanta. We got up to 7 inches in northern Mississippi. Then the NAM said there was going to be no snow in North Carolina. And someone in my comments said the NAM was completely right for North Carolina. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Up here towards Winston-Salem got an inch or two. You had some areas of Appalachia get up to 6-7 inches in North Carolina. The NAM said no snow was going to fall in North Carolina. The NAM did horrible. I almost never want to look at the NAM again because of what it said. The NAM literally said snow would not go below the Tennessee line, and we saw snow all through northern Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Crazy. Crazy how much that model messed up. But I was telling people not to believe it. Because it was an outlier. Will East Texas get snow? It's in a good spot. It has potential with this system next week. Thank you for the follows and subs, guys. Again, I got to be careful about saying this on TikTok, I feel like. But I don't know what's going to happen with the TikTok ban, guys. But if anything happens, I'm streaming for people. I know there's people on YouTube right now. I'm streaming on YouTube right now, and all my content's going on YouTube. That's where I'd be going full time. So if you want to throw me a sub, I appreciate it. My 90K followers are just going to poof disappear on TikTok, which would suck. But I'm not going to stop doing this. I'll just rebuild over on YouTube. It's just unfortunate. Unfortunate. I'm not even monetized on YouTube too, so I'd have to wait a couple months to get monetized. It is what it is. Still have some time to figure out what's going to happen with that. I think Alabama could get snow again next week. It could. It could, Reed. It could. It could. Let's take a look at our latest GFS. We should have a good load now. What would the setup be for a big snowstorm in Michigan? Listen, we'd want, for a big snowstorm in Michigan that isn't lake effect snow, you want these troughs to enter much farther to the west. Because they're typically gonna, move in a pattern like this. You're typically gonna have a low pressure form out ahead of the trough, and this is kind of the direction our systems move. So, when you have a bunch of cold air moving in this region in the northern plains, you're typically just going to get cold air with that. Lake effect snow if it's early enough in the season, but then that gives a better chance for eastern snow than through the Midwest. So you can see on here, where's our trough entering? We can just take a look based on our 850 millibar. Watch this. Boom, right there. You see where this is entering right here? Where this trough would be entering? Northern plains. The bulk of it. You're going to see snow somewhere like this. You know what I mean? With that type of event. If your main leading edge of the trough enters out here, suddenly that shifts. And it's a bigger snowstorm through here, typically. Typically, not always. Not always. Sometimes you can have just troughing out here and then have a system move up with a kind of like a stalled trough out there. It's a little complicated. All right, let's go to our latest GFS. Okay, here we go. This is our latest GFS. Look at that. Our latest GFS is still really bullish on that cold air. Our latest GFS wants to bring that freezing line down in New Orleans. So, in San Antonio. So take it with a grain of salt again, but this is what I expect to see. There's just too much model consensus on this. Now this would be a really, really serious, potentially you could see some severe weather from this. Again, look what it wants to do though. It wants a little snow. There's all this moisture is out ahead. All this moisture is out ahead of that trough. So the timing is going to be everything. Okay, because this moisture. You could get some moisture out behind this that rides up. You don't want your main piece of energy to be out ahead of the storm. Let's take a look at our upper air dynamics here. This is far out, so it's not going to work exactly like this. So you would want you see this piece of energy right here, guys? See this piece of energy, and this would be our trough. This is really far out to look at this because we're going to see changes. You would want this piece of energy right here. Right here, guys. And this is what the Euro thinks could happen. This is what the Euro thinks is going to happen. You don't want this piece of energy like here. So as this trough moves in, this connects up with it at the right time to put snowfall and not just have a big rainstorm. So if we take a look at what the Euro thinks here based on this type of pattern, here we go. So you've got this piece of energy and this piece of energy, your big trough, linking up as we move down into the southeast. Back on our GFS, our latest GFS run, we're not seeing the same type of event happening. So we'll see. We're not going to see this type of look anyways. We're not going to see this exact. We need like another 3 days to really know what that's going to look like. But that's kind of the basics behind it. If you look on the map, upper left corner, it says date and times. Yeah. Yep. Sorry if it's really small. This whole event, guys, is expected to take place next week in a more active winter pattern again, between the 18th and maybe even through like the 24th or 25th. 18th through the 26th. That whole time frame, there's going to be a lot of cold air and moisture interaction out east. So you could even see 1 or 2 winter storms. But this is an outlook. We don't really know where this stuff's going exactly yet, or what totals we could see in what state. Lazy egg? Lazy egg? Lazy egg? I appreciate you. Thank you, man. Please snow day for Connecticut. I'm hoping for you guys. Yeah. YouTube is better. I've always wanted to be on YouTube. It takes much longer to grow a following. Listen, we all know that the TikTok algorithm is the best. The YouTube algorithm compared to the TikTok algorithm is not that great. And that's part of the reason that ByteDance doesn't want to sell off and give their algorithm to an American company, because that's the most valuable thing they have. Their algorithm, their ownership and secrecy over their algorithm is way more important than losing 150 million users in America. They lost 200 million users in India. It's banned there. They didn't even blink an eye. So people who think that they're not going to do it here, But I still think there's possibly going to be a stay, or when Trump gets in, he's going to go back to the Supreme Court and extend the deliberation periods. And yeah, I think I don't expect just a hard ban on the 19th. And if is a hard ban on the 19th, on the 20th or the 21st, it's going to be extended. So, but what do I know? I hope North Carolina gets a better snow when I'm not sick, because I about froze to death in my room. Yeah, I bet. Oof, that's rough. Or Virginia gets snow. Virginia's in a good spot as we push into next week. Your snow outlook is good out here, guys. Just like it was. We were talking about this a week before this snowstorm we just had. Your snow chances in this region are elevated. It doesn't mean you're going to get snow. We have to see how the timing of these systems are going to work out. There is the possibility you get this cold air troughing, which we're pretty sure is going to happen, pushing in, and your moisture is out ahead of the system, or your moisture is too far behind the system, and it's just a bunch of cold air. It's just a bunch of dry cold air. That's what happened in December multiple times. If you guys don't remember, we had almost the entire eastern seaboard right here was below average in December, and we saw almost no snow, and that's because our moisture kept outrunning our troughs. So our troughs would come in, we'd have cold air for snow, and our moisture outran it. That's always a problem. Julie's here. What's going on, Julie? Wait, Julie, is it snowing in Buffalo? Oh, no, a little break. Nice. Very nice. Very nice. I keep seeing these. It's not snowing here, but we have snow. I keep seeing these big lake effect totals, and I just feel like it's not going to happen at this point. The Euro wants to do some crazy things up here. Over the next 6 days. 1.5 feet of snow just to the south of Buffalo. Are you hearing about this, Julie? Where you are? I think it's accounting for. I'm guessing these lakes at this point are very, very cold. Yeah, I'm thinking these lakes are very, very cold at this point, and I think the models are seeing some of this as lake effect snow, and I think it's Like you've said, it's not at this point. It's probably not going to be. So because I don't see this as like a big. Yeah, it is. That's lake effect. So that would be a big lake effect system cranking up on Monday night or Monday afternoon through Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay. Well, then this might actually then that might actually happen. Tuesday through Wednesday, 1.5 foot. I'm gonna need a report back from you. I really want to know. Or if that happens, I'll just join your live. I'll just join your live. If you go live. I want Sunny in 45. Might need to wait for 5 months at least. Maybe more. Brittany, I appreciate it. What is going on late next week, Jordan? Okay. Yeah, here. Let me do a quick summary of everything we know for anyone who's in here, because I know there's a lot of like questions. Let me take this. I'm going to do a summary of everything that's going on. We have a very good, once again, just like we just had a big southern snowstorm and we were talking about this southern snowstorm that just happened a week before it. More than that, 2 weeks before it. That's why on my TikTok, I just made a TikTok shouting out all the people who called me an idiot for talking about it. There was a very favorable outlook. I want people to know. We have another favorable outlook. This is only about a week out. Very high confidence in cold air troughing from all our globals. Climate Prediction Center likes the cold air to be there. Our GFS does great with subtropical lows, and it has consistently shown a subtropical low down there in the Gulf. And timing's one of the things we're looking for again. But if I'm a betting man, I'm taking the over. Doesn't mean I could still lose this bet, but if I'm a betting man and I do understand weather pretty well, I would take the over on some snow happening in the south again. Still time for this thing to, but the reason I wouldn't slam the bet is because different models agree on where the moisture, where our pieces of energy are going to be when this cold air moves down, and that's going to determine if we actually see southern snow or not. Is it here, or is it here? So, if it's one of these on the outside, you might not see any snow. So here, let me go through really quickly what's happening next week. Just give me 1 second. And you know what? Just for fun, I'm going to give you what I think the odds, who has the best chance of seeing it. Just for fun. Don't hold me to it, though. I did pretty well with this last winter storm, but don't hold me to it. Not to my own horn or anything. Except for I really thought Charlotte was going to overperform, and I looked like an idiot to my friends and family who live there. Okay. Here's what's happening, guys. Let's go and look at some interesting models real quick. This is WeatherBell. Let's look at this, and I'm going to get back to questions. Here is WeatherBell. Now, let's go to our European ensemble. 10-day snow outlook. You know, the Euro gives a chance for snow all the way down here. Now, I would really look at the darker area, but it is what it is. We'll go to our probabilities winner. Who could see an inch or more? This could be much more, only a little bit more, through our time frame next week. As you can see, the Euro has brought this chance for snow way far south again, just like they did with this snowstorm. And guys, I'll get back to questions in a second. And we see this consistently. The Canadian is going even crazier with this, really wanting to give everyone very, very, very far south a chance. There's even models that want to put snow down into the coastal Carolinas. We'll see. What we are confident in, and what the CPC is confident in, is a large trough ejection down into the lower 48 around the 18th or 19th of January. 7 or 8 days out from now. Getting a pretty vertical trough. Vertical troughing can really shoot that cold air down. So when you see something like this start to happen, you better bet you could get some really cold air down in here to the south. The Euro wants this trough to move in pretty far out west. This is your best case scenario to get southern snow, southeastern snow, because it'll have time to dig farther dig into that Gulf moisture more. When your trough moves in here, you can really tap into the Gulf. If it moves out here, you're really depending on the timing of this Gulf moisture, and it can't create its own low pressure system. So you can see that on the Euro. The GFS, I think, is even more aggressive now. You can see that on the GFS. Look at that. There it is. Very aggressive trough. And a second one behind it. This is a second trough in the south behind it. That might even be a second storm. Second, third, who knows. And we can see it on our Canadian. We can see it on all our models. Our Climate Prediction Center does like well below average temperatures coast to coast through that time frame, the 19th to the 25th. Our Climate Prediction Center does also like above average moisture through this region, 19th to the 25th as well. So what does all this mean? All this means is, okay, here's where I think, right? If I had to give an outlook on who I think has the best chance of seeing snow from this system, I would give this area an A+, meaning you're not that you're 100% going to see it, but that your chances are the highest up. So, but for places down here in the south, that would still only be like a 10% chance. Down here, it would still only be like a 10% chance, but it's way up from what it normally is. I think you'll probably get some snow into northern Texas as well. I'll give you a C down here. I think there's not an impossibility of snow down here. I'll give us a B up along the coast because with multiple events, we could see some sort of nor'easter or tilting trough, especially when these troughs want to come in at this angle, which they do. And honestly, I'd give you guys kind of like a D- up here. You'll have clippers moving through, but for a serious snow system, we'll extend this right there. That's your report card for your chances for a big snowstorm next week. Anyone in any of those circles could see it, but right now it is looking like this corridor, and it is looking like this corridor is going to be your sweet spot. Which is like almost what just happened, right? Like this. It's like almost what just happened. It's a very similar looking setup, but with this air looks to be even colder than this last setup we had. So we'll see. We'll see. I hope you guys get it down there in the south again. Like I always say, don't come back and punch me in the face if you don't. I'm just being honest. 19th to the 25th, possible more snow and cold air. Yep. Thank you, Lake. Yep. Yep. Louisville. Yep. Kentucky's not a bad spot to be moving forward here. Not a bad spot to be. Let me open my window. Get some fresh air. I like that no one has noticed that I've been wearing the same outfit for like 4 streams. Thank you, guys. We listen, we don't judge. This is just my streaming in the house outfit. I don't work out or go outside in this. Well, every now and then. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Greg. Okay. What are your predictions for Charlotte for the next storm? Listen, I need this to be... I can't even tell you my predictions for Charlotte because Charlotte underperformed and I was really sad for my friends and family. So I'm going to have too much bias. I'm going to say Charlotte's going to get smacked with snow, but that's just all bias. That's not truth. You guys have right now the Euro gives you a 20 to 30% chance, which is pretty good being this far out. Going to Washington, D.C. the 20th to 25th, what's your snow prediction? Is there something happening in Washington, D.C. on the 20th? I feel like there is. I'm just kidding. Listen, I think you're going to have some severe or some bad weather. Some intense weather rolling through that region. There's almost guaranteed to be some weather moving through that region on the 21st, the 22nd, 23rd. Will it be snow? It's going to be close. You might be right ahead of the boundary, right ahead of the front, and it could be very, very cold rain. Too early to tell. But it could be snow. There's a possibility for it. Yesterday they said it would stop snowing at 5 p.m. It snowed until 9 p.m. Yeah, in your part of Kentucky. There's the weather isn't just like it snows for everyone and then stops for everyone. There are little tiny bands of snow that set up over an area sometimes that keep snowing when it should have stopped. And you can't really predict where that's going to happen. That happened over parts of Tennessee as well, where there was like that happened over Boston today. There was a band of snow that just stalled over eastern Massachusetts, and they got 2 more inches than expected. Are they telling him to predict the weather? Josh, I am not predicting the weather. We are analyzing what our outlook is and the chances of us seeing certain conditions over a certain period of time. On December 27th, I released a video saying the second week of January looks good for the potential for a southern snowstorm. Your atmospheric setup looks like it's going to be right, and it did. I could have been wrong, but that's why it's an outlook. You can look forward because you could never be for sure, but you can see if it's a good or bad outlook. If we're in a negative NA, if we're pushing into a negative AO, a negative NAO, and a positive PNA, those are teleconnections that tell us that we're going to have. So a negative NAO is when your pressure gradient between your Greenland low and your Azores high starts to weaken. You typically get more cold air across the east in a more active pattern, winter storm pattern. Negative AO is when your polar jet slows, leaks some cold air down into the south. That's even colder for the east. Positive PNA is ridging out west, colder air in the east. These teleconnections can be read a week or 2 out with not perfect accuracy, but much better than forecasting snow in a tiny local location 4 days from now. So there was a very strong signal for above average, above normal chances for snow. We could have still not seen snow, but it was 100% true that your chances of seeing snow were up. Let me put it this way, okay? If there are 10 Skittles on the ground and 3 of them are red and 2 of them are green, the odds are you're going to pick up a red Skittle, but you could still pick up a green Skittle. Okay? There were like 9 red Skittles on the ground and 1 green Skittle. So I was like, yo, it could not happen. But I actually said, and on stream leading up to that, before we really were sure about it, I actually said I'd be very disappointed if it didn't happen because the atmospheric setup looks so good for snow into the second week of January. So I would have gotten my balls busted if it didn't happen, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't telling the truth that our chances were good. Our chances are good again. It doesn't mean it's guaranteed to happen. It just means the atmospheric setup is more primed for the opportunity for snow once again. And this is more. You guys know, especially in the South and Mid-Atlantic, we've really, really not had looks like this over the last few years. I know the Mid-Atlantic is still struggling, but it still looks like we might get a good snow. We're not even halfway through winter, by the way, guys, so don't freak out too much. I like my Skittle analogy there. I should have said you're blindfolded. Any upcoming snow info for the desert Southwest? We need to know. Hey, maybe. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Maybe. No, yeah, the Euro's been seeing this for a while. This would be associated with that big trough that would bring us potentially in another eastern snowstorm. The Euro likes it digging in farther into the west. We talked about that. The jet stream wants to dig down into the southwest on the Euro version. So this would be the same. This would be snow. That would be part of the same system that might bring us our eastern snowstorm. This would be a lot of snow into Arizona finally, and New Mexico, and parts of Nevada. So maybe. We want the Euro jet stream outlook to be correct, not the GFS one. What's with the latest on our GFS, by the way? By the way, you see what the GFS does here? It wants a big rain event because the timing isn't correct. Still wants some snow in the south. So we'll have to see. The Euro still really likes the chances. So does the Canadian. Chrissy, Terry, Brett, Chrissy, I appreciate you guys. Do I think it's gonna snow in South Carolina? It could. It's another good outlook. We'll have to see. Outlook for New York City. I told you guys. The outlook through the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast is higher than it. Your chances are higher than it normally is for snow, but it doesn't mean that it's good. It's higher than it. you know, this corridor right here, we're staring at again, based on our setup that we have. Major troughing. GFS likes a low pressure system forming down here in the northwestern Gulf. We've seen consistently through the models. This latest model has that moisture shifting off to the east before the cold air arrives. So that would be great, but there's still model consensus on snow down here with this. So exciting stuff. Euro was great for Alabama Thursday night and Friday. Yeah, good. Glad to hear that. Is Louisville, Kentucky expected to get snow again? Expect it? No. No one's expected to get snow if there's not snow. Well, let's take a look. No one's expected to get snow if there's not snow in your 3 to 4 day forecast. Outside of that, it's impossible to tell. Much easier to tell outside of 3 to 4 days if temperatures, below average temperatures, that type of stuff. It happens on a more macro level. Moisture happens on a micro level, so you need to get much closer to guaranteed stuff like that. Any pipe bursts may be happening in any states next week, maybe. With that cold that's coming in, guys, we're probably going to see the coldest air the entire year next week for a lot of places. Very likely, I think. Got 7 where I live in Oklahoma. Verse 1 to 3 that was projected. Yep, Central to Eastern Oklahoma overperformed. I'm guessing you were in like Eastern Oklahoma. Yeah, I mean, it's possible with this outlook Oklahoma could get more. Can't guarantee it, though. Can you break it down in Skittles? I would say right now, it's like 3. If New York City's red Skittles, it's like 7 green to 3 red. But those odds might improve as we get closer. We might see those really improve. On the Euro, it's even better. If you were to look at the Euro, you'd say it's a 50-50 split. Barb, I appreciate you. Are we ever going to get a snowstorm in Birmingham, New York? Potentially. Again, you guys are in you guys are in the Swatch area next week. Birmingham's probably in a better spot than a lot of people for snow potential with this system next week. Oh no! Now everyone's asking for Skittle terms. I would give you a 50-50 on Skittle terms too, because we can already see the Euro seeing moisture only about 140 to 150 hours out over the wide swath of the Southern Rockies is a very good look. I'd actually even say 6 to. If southeastern Colorado is red, I'd say 6 red Skittles to 4 green. 60%. I really could just use percentages. 1 second. Snow in Arizona. Hey, listen, the Euro does want to put a lot of snow into central and northeastern Arizona next week. Actually, next weekend. Yeah, Saturday into Sunday. We'll know if that's going to happen for sure in about 48 hours, I think. I think our models, once we get within 120, 100-hour range. Pickens County, South Carolina. Don't know where that is, but I can tell you that... listen, guys. Not a bad place to be right here if you want to see another winter storm based on our current setup. Someone's not going to get any snow though, so that's guaranteed. We don't know where it's going to go. And you know what? If our moisture outruns our cold air or our moisture lags behind, no one's getting snow. I think that's the least likely scenario though, because with the cold air we're expecting to have, this front is going to develop its own moisture line, and I think we could get you could even get some decent snow behind it. So I don't think no one's going to get snow out east. Let's see here. Here's okay. This is let's go to our Euro ensemble probability of seeing an inch or more. Should we go to 3 inch or more of accumulation? Here's our Euro ensemble, the latest probability. So if you're in any of the colors here, the Euro gives you a... This is the Euro giving you a chance to see more than 3 inches of accumulation. Let's go back here. More than 3 inches of accumulation through the... We're just going to say... through the 24th. Probability-wise. Look at the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Not looking too bad. Now the Euro seeing an inch or more of accumulation over this time span. Down here, this is your 10 to 30% chance. Up here, that's not in red. This is when you get up to your 50, 60, 70, 80% chance, and your red is a 90 to 100% chance of seeing an inch or more of accumulation based on the latest Euro probabilities map. Spencer, I appreciate the sub. Twin G, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Becky, we're watching the 18th to the 20. We're really watching the 18th through like the 25th for an active winter pattern out east again, and potentially in the southeast. Damn, Laura, I appreciate you. Hoping we see it in Connecticut. I'm hoping for you too. Yeah, you guys need some snow. The red is a 90 to 100% chance of seeing an inch or more of accumulation over this time period. This is out through like the 24th of January. A little over 10 days. Memphis could possibly get more snow, yes. Anything in West Virginia soon? Soon? If you consider next week soon. Nothing's guaranteed. There's no, well, I would almost say there's guaranteed snow out east next week. You can't guarantee where it's going to be, though. It's not in forecasting range yet. The outlook is the outlook wants a lot of moisture and cold air troughing across the globals. Climate Prediction Center agrees. And when you have this significant of a trough dipping down into the lower 48, guys, especially in the third week of January, which again I'll say it a million times, historically and on average, is the coldest week of the entire year up here in the northern hemisphere. You can see really freaky things happening with especially southern snow, because you need all the benefits in the world of cold air dipping as far south as you can to get that type of event to happen. Megan, I appreciate you. You guys are asking me about like local cities. No one in the world, the best meteorology in the world, does not know if a city is gonna see snow 7 or 8 days from now. It's an impossible task. So, the region, that's why in this time frame we talk in terms of regions. I think this area has the best chance. I think this area doesn't have that good a chance. I think this area has a pretty good chance. Remember, we're doing like A+, C. We'll do B+. I'll do like C+. I live in North Carolina. I want to see some snow. Yep, underperformance in North Carolina with this last storm. January 19th to the 25th, 2025, Western and Central Kentucky. Again, Western and Central Kentucky, your snow outlook is up through that time frame. Through that time frame. I can tell you within 3 days of what city is going to get hit by watching the clouds. Yeah, that's why our forecasts are pretty good within 3 days. Not perfect, because storms are variable, and rainfall, snow, all that stuff doesn't fall in an equal line across the storm. There are different pockets where more falls than others. That's why you're always going to see overperformances and underperformances along a storm track. Always. What's Northern Illinois looking like for tonight and tomorrow? You guys could get a little bit of snowfall. Yeah, I mean, Euro only wants a dusting to an inch. Yeah, nothing crazy happening. Your temperatures are going to really start to plummet tomorrow, it looks like, though. How does Kansas look next week? Kansas is an interesting place to be. I don't think Kansas's snow chances are as high as maybe Oklahoma, Arkansas, and down to the south and out east. Yeah, northern Iowa, northern plains through Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin. Other than some clippers, it's going to be tough for you guys to get snow until about the end of January into February. It does look like that time frame. Your luck's going to change up there, and we could see some big snow events happening up here. But when we're talking about the next 2 weeks, it's not looking too promising. You guys are remaining very, very cold. You don't have a lot of lift mechanism up there or any sort of help in the atmosphere to produce a really significant blizzard or strong snow for you. It's going to be a lot of clipper systems moving through. Let me see. Anyone else watch just to see what their state looks like? Listen, just to show you what these models are doing, okay? Just to show you what these models are doing, say through the 24, say like a little over 10 days out, right? Don't believe this map, okay? Well, I'm showing you this is because this is where the European model thinks snow is going to fall. Now, could we see snow fall through this corridor like this? Yes, that would be very good, heavy snow for everyone up here too. But the GFS agrees with the cold air, but not with where the moisture is going to fall. Look at the GFS. I think our latest GFS is even worse, but the 18Zs, this isn't a fresh data set, so you know, don't really care about the 18Z too much. And then you can look at your Canadian. Where does the Canadian think snow is going to fall? They've all got a different idea. The Euro and Canadian do like this corridor, though. And it's understandable why it likes this corridor, because we expect troughing to dig down up here through the northwest, and that can help to pull up some Gulf moisture. And they typically do follow a track like this. To the north, it'll be snow. To the south and east, it'll be rain on a low-pressure system. So I can see why I like the Canadian and Euro outlook if we continue to see that where that trough enters the lower 48. Up into the northwest. Oh, Tom Hollins, there's no month outlook. The 2-week outlook's very good for the East. I think once we get into the 3-week outlook, end of January into February, I think we'll probably get a little bit more ridging out East for a little bit, and we'll see some better winter weather in the plains in the West. I can't guarantee you that, though. It's a tough look. There's a lot of disagreement on that. No rain, snow for Tennessee. No speak of rain. Yeah, right? Now, of course I do, Tom. Texarkana, Texas, and it was so disappointing Thursday. Wait, Yale. I had someone message me in my inbox on TikTok saying, I live in Texarkana and we got a bunch of snow. Are you sure? Let me push back on this. Can I go back more than 24 hours? Come on, National Weather Service. Let me push back more. Past weather. Yeah, we were looking at that. Snowfall totals last 48 hours. One second. Let me see something here. Now I'm wondering. Why is this? Oh, 48 hours. Here we go. Texarkana. Oh, yeah. Only about an inch or two. Inch. Look at that. Dallas. Just to the north of Dallas. 5 to 7 inches in the northern area. Great snow down in Mississippi. Just to remind all of you, of how bad our NAM model did, because I think I just need everyone to know how atrocious it was. Here's where snow fell. Our NAM model said that there was going to be no snow. Wait for it. Our NAM model said there was going to be no snow. Basically anywhere there. Like that none of this was going to exist. And I'm talking about 24 hours before the storm. We're not talking like a week out. The NAM can't even see that far out. It said no snow is going to fall in Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. Oh, how wrong it was. Thank God we didn't listen. Wait, where's my... Oh, there it is. All right, let me get the set back up. Van Life, I appreciate it. How wrong it was. I want to say thank you for the breakdown and the willingness to help us learn everything weather. I've learned too much in the past couple weeks. I've been watching. I don't have my glasses on, so I'm like, I've been watching Keep Up the Good Work. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. That was very nice. I appreciate that. Yeah, I like getting a little bit more in depth sometimes because I like the science part of this a lot, but not just talking about how much snow you could get. But a lot of people are interested in that. What are their odds? But I appreciate that. That was very nice. Mooresville, North Carolina says 6 to 7 inches on the 20th. What? Why do these weather apps do stuff like this, guys? Hold up. Stop it. No, it doesn't. Oh my God. Why would it do that? Right now I see 3 to 4. They shouldn't put precipitation totals on your weather app past even 5 days is pushing it. But like that far out, not even God himself knows how much snow Mooresville is going to get next Monday or like the coming Monday after that. That's crazy. Don't believe it yet. It like I said, though, our outlook is good for snow out east again and maybe in the south. So I'm not saying it couldn't happen. Actually, there's a really good look for you guys, but the odds are still that it doesn't, or at least not to that level. So it just doesn't make any sense that they put totals that far out when we don't know what it's going to be. No one knows. That's crazy. How much does it look like? But there you go, guys. I assume you already talked about this, but is that supposed winter storm next weekend looking fruitful or no? We've been talking about it, all stream, Yogi. I'll go through it again for you. The Apple Weather app was showing 7 inches 4 hours before the snow got into Birmingham, and we got 2 to 3. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why. Yeah, Apple their weather app is so dumb. The entire day and night in Charlotte, it showed that it was blizzarding snow, and they got like a 1/4 inch. Because it turned into freezing rain, and it was falling as snow in the upper atmosphere, but then it was melting and refreezing as freezing rain. And the radar didn't understand that. Silly little radar. No one talked about Lindsay, Oklahoma. We got 7.5 inches. Well, I would tell you this, Fishing. Not that there's anything against Lindsay, Oklahoma, but I've never heard of that city before. So if I haven't brought it up, it's only because I've never heard of it. But we did talk about central and eastern Oklahoma. We talked about how a lot of people in central and eastern Oklahoma overperformed. I'm guessing that's where it is. Lindsay, Oklahoma. Yeah. Hey, listen. It honestly looks like a really cute little town. I actually do love this. But I mean, not a lot of people probably know this exists. It does look like a very nice town. I like it. Cute, quaint. It's actually, wow. Farm country. Yeah, I would have, yeah. Oh, I can see you guys. Yeah, I mean, this is like, really this whole area through here overperformed. Did really good. I don't know if you can see on my Radar Omega at the bottom. That's where I was showing it. I'm not making fun of your town. I love small towns. But, 2,800 peeps. Yeah, I love it. But yeah, definitely didn't know about it. That's cool. Now I do. Yeah. Yeah, now I know. 5 inches in Jennings, Oklahoma. Yeah, Oklahoma was one of the overperforming areas. Arkansas did pretty good, but it was expected to do pretty good. Northern Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia pretty much all overperformed for the most part. It's weird. There was more. Hey, I love you too, dude. There was more snow that fell in Atlanta than like when you could go. There was like areas of Atlanta that got like 4 inches of snow, and then you would drive 30 minutes north and there was like an inch. And that's because there was banding that set up over over Atlanta. So it's weird. People are like, why did Atlanta get more snow? We were to the north. Because it has to do with how that banding sets up sometimes. You know what I mean? New York City has only gotten a dusting of snow. Will we get real snow soon? You're in a good spot for a chance to get good snow next week. I can't promise it. But again, once again, you'll have a chance. You had a really good shot this week. I mean, there's a 970 or 983 millibar low, like 400 miles off the coast of you right now. If that thing shifted in, on a macro level, that got really close to putting a foot of snow into New York City. But it's a game of inches on a big map. So you'll have another chance, I think, next week. Hopefully, the odds are in your favor. Do you see anything possible for North Carolina? Line for the coming week or two. Yeah, next week. That's what we're watching. The end of next weekend into that week. 18th to 24th of January looks active out east. Oh, yes, it does. Very active. We're getting the 18Z of the Euro in. Interesting. Looks very, very active out east. If the models have the same info data, why do they vary from each other so much? Because they all have different algorithms and they focus on different things. The GFS model does very, very well in the subtropics and tropics because there are a bunch of models because there was an original weather model that all meteorologists created. And then they said, this isn't good enough. It's not forecasting good enough. So they created another one. And they said, this isn't good enough. And then they created another one. And then we have 50. And then they said, out of these 50, which ones do the best? And they got down to 20. And they said, okay, we'll try to improve these. It's just over time, more and more models were created to try to get more accuracy. They adjusted the formula, the algorithm of how they do all take in the same data. And that's not true. There are some models that use specifically satellite data. The best models use satellite and weather balloon data. Weather balloon data being the most important. Twice a day at midnight and 12 o'clock. It's what depends what time you are, but twice a day. That's what your 00Z and 12Z are. Weather stations, airports. I mean, thousands of weather balloons are released across the entire country, every part of our country. They go up into the atmosphere, and then there's a little box attached to it, and it records the pressure, the wind, the temperatures, sends that data back down, and our models analyze it and see what's to come. So it's more accurate than your satellite data. Yogu. Oh, yeah, I forgot I wanted to tell you what was happening. Here in Good Old Appalachia, we got like 6 inches. Nice. The two lows are pushing through the southeast basically 2 days in a row now. I know. We'll see what happens in the southeast, but it's looking good. So, do you think severe thunderstorms, tornadoes are more likely in South Carolina next week? It's a possibility. We could get a weird little thunderstorms and some tornadoes touching down in January. Yeah. Don't want to scare anyone yet, though. We need some more time to figure that out. Yeah, potentially stormy. T-car. Yeah, Yogi. So we were talking about this. I do want to get up. I want to go watch some football, hang out with the fam a little bit. But so here's what's happening. We've got a lot of model consensus about cold air. Let's go to our 850 millibar temperature height. This is our air right above our heads, not at the surface. All of our models agree on this big, huge, gigantic push. This blue right here, that's our freezing line. And this is the temperatures right above your head where you want it to be cold for snowfall. All our models agree big troughing. Big troughing. Canadian, CFS, European, American. And so that looks pretty good. The Climate Prediction Center is on board with that. The Climate Prediction Center is on board with that as well. Our GFS does very good with detecting, again, I sound like a broken clock, but very good at detecting subtropical low development in this time frame. And most of our models see a lot of energy, just a lot of energy in general that's going to be sitting around here during the time of that troughing. What does that mean? Cold air pushing into this region, linking up with that Gulf moisture. We know storms move off to the east. This puts this whole, central, southeastern, Ohio Valley, mid-Atlantic, northeast area on watch again for a snowstorm. Maybe a bigger one, maybe a smaller one, maybe one that goes up the coast this time. So that's what we're watching. And, again, we are expecting below average temperatures during this time frame and above average moisture in January, which is our coldest, and the third week of January, which is on average historically our coldest week of the entire year. So are we going to see a massive winter storm for everyone out here? Can't guarantee it, but I can promise you that the outlook's good. That is the truth. The outlook is good, just like it was for this last winter storm. That's what's going on with that. Our 18Z of the Euro is loading in. I don't take our 18Zs too seriously, but the Euro sometimes does good on 18Zs. So, yeah, so I'm going to try to enjoy my Saturday. I see a lot of people asking questions about cities. Listen, I posted a video today talking about it on my TikTok. I'm going to post another 2 videos tomorrow talking about it. I'm going to be back on stream tomorrow looking at our latest models, trying to give you guys what, the odds of what I think is going to happen moving forward. We still probably need at least 72 hours to really start to get a good understanding of, is it going to be snow going to fall in this region, in this region, in this region, all the regions. We still need a little bit more time. So every time I draw on this, that always happens every single time. We still need a little time, but right now this whole region right here is on winter storm watch. I think again next week. So we'll see. We'll see how it develops. It's an outlook. It's not a forecast, guys. The atmospheric setup looks good for snow. Hopefully our moisture doesn't outrun our cold air and give us nothing. Hopefully our moisture doesn't sit behind, let our cold air in and just bring in a bunch of cold, dry air. But I think our odds are we have another winter storm out east next week. Yale and K-Cross. I appreciate you guys. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for the subs and follows. Again, if anything happens with the TikTok ban, I will be on YouTube. I'm streaming on YouTube right now for anyone who's over on TikTok. And that's where I'm going to upload all my videos, be streaming full-time over there. Thank you, guys. I may get on for a little bit later. We'll see. I may do a little bit streaming later. Depends on how much I drink. But I will be posting more tomorrow. And I post every day and I stream every single day, trying to give you guys the updates and what I see, what's going on, what are the probabilities of this stuff happening. So I appreciate you guys. Shout out to the mods. Shout out to Lake. You're awesome. And